Hey there everybody and welcome. I am Leth. You're going to be hearing from Green and Ray a little bit later on. This is a big video for the Netcrashers Hockey Podcast. In this video, we are picking our team candidates. And yes, we know we've got a lot of listeners south of the border in the United States, a lot of listeners over in Europe as well from other countries that will be competing in men's Olympic tournament for hockey. We're taking on Team Canada because at the heart of it, we are hashtag fanboys. And here's a quick rundown of how it's going to work. Obviously, you see these awesome charts behind me. Well, this is our forward cords right here with an extra slot. Here's our defensive cords with an extra slot, and here's our goaltenders with an extra slot. And we're going to be going through it forwards, defensemen, and goaltenders just like that. And we're going to break it down. So I'm going to start it off with my first forward line. And as you might expect, number one center, Sidney Crosby. Of course, he's my captain of the team as well. On his left wing, it is his teammate in Pittsburgh, Chris Kunitz. And on the right wing, assuming he's healthy, he will be because he's a cyborg, Steven Stamkos. Now, very quickly, I think chemistry is going to be an issue with this team because they're coming together so quickly. And I think putting Kunitz and Crosby together eliminates some of that growing pains thing. And then Stamkos, just the best natural scorer on the team, put him with a guy like Crosby, bingo, bango, bongo, makes sense. All right, on to my second line. Again, going back to the chemistry issue, second line centerman, it's Jonathan Toews. He brings it all. He's got defensive ability, offensive ability. He's really a jack of all trades. On his left wing, we've got his line mate in Chicago, Patrick Sharp, having an incredible year for him, especially leading up to the Olympics. He's a guy that really wants to be in Sochi with Team Canada. I think he's played his way onto the team. And on his right wing, could be subbing into center as well in the defensive zone, is none other than Patrice Bergeron, future captain of the Boston Bruins, and just simply a great two-way line here. Scoring from Sharp and Toews, Bergeron as well, and then the great defensive play of Toews, Bergeron as well. Now on to my third line, my size line, as I'm calling it. Back to chemistry one more time. Getzlaf, Ryan Getzlaf at center. He's a Team Canada veteran, a gold medalist in 2010 in Vancouver. On his left wing, we've got his Pacific Division rival, usually, also fellow captain, Joe Thornton, big Jumbo Joe, and then right wing, back to the chemistry thing, Corey Perry. This is my size line. This is my shutdown line. Ideally, this is a line that I think can match up with a lot of the size on some other teams like Russia and the United States, especially with what I think is going to be the best shutdown line in the tournament of David Backes, Ryan Callahan, and Dustin Brown. Now, on to my fourth line. Kind of my thrown together line. I still think it's going to be effective. And starting at center, I'm the only guy that got this individual on his team. Eric Stahl. Eric Stahl, I think, has the most experience on any Team Canada in this group. He's been at so many World Championships, it's basically a default at this point. But Eric Stahl, size, strength down low, scoring ability. And then on his left wing, you've got none other than John Tavares, who I initially had slotted in on the second line, moved him down to the fourth. I mean, depth scoring, not going to be an issue on this team. And I think, these are four lines you can roll pretty evenly. And then on the right wing, none other than Martin St. Louis, a guy who's been stellar year in, year out for so long. And that leaves us with our extra forward. And this was a bit of a tough call. I had 3 or 4 guys in mind, but eventually I settled on Andrew Ladd, captain of the Winnipeg Jets. And I think, looking forward, Ladd's a guy that I could definitely see at the 2014 Winter Olympics. And I think he's a great pick for the extra forward. He's a guy with size. He's a guy that can skate, can shoot, and can come in if the team needs him to.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greener here. I'm going to type in my lineup, and we're going to start with the forwards. As most people figure, you got to go with Captain Canada as your first line center. Teammate and line mate of Crosby, Chris Kunitz. And the debatable most pure goal scorer in the league, Steven Stamkos. And how do you go wrong with that lineup? You can't. It's just a perfect lineup for your first line. Second line, the big mean Getzlaf in center. No, Perry. Teammate Perry on the wing. And surprise, but playmaker Claude Giroux, captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, on the second line. Third line, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Serious, Jonathan Toews, At center, Marty St. Louis on his wing. And the man that can be put into any lineup, I think, on this roster, and the key legend of this team, Jerome McGinley. Our third line starts off with returnee Joe Thornton. Captain of the New York Islanders, John Tavares. And a man that I didn't think was going to be on this team, but he's played his way onto this team, Patrick Sharp. Something about these lineups to me says speed and playmaking ability. Each line has a speedy winger, and they all have a playmaker on each wing. And for my 13th forward, and you can't go wrong with him, and we've seen him a few years now in the playoffs, one of the most clutch guys in the league, Patrice Bergeron. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my forward core for the Canadian Olympic team.
Welcome back to the special Netcrashers episode where we're picking our Team Canada lineups. And I'm going to start with the top line. It's going to be the same as the buys. I got Kunitz on the left wing. Being centered by Crosby. Obviously, those guys have instant chemistry. And they're rounding out the top lineup. Stamkos, the best goal scorer in the NHL at this moment. And I got a feeling he's going to be healthy for Sochi. Second line on left wing is another center conversion. You're going to see a lot of these in my lineup. I got John Tavares on the left wing, and centered by Ryan Getzlaf. And on the right wing is Corey Perry. Now, Getzlaf and Perry, they are one of the most dynamic duos, and they have been since the last Olympics. And you throw in Tavares there, you got three guys who are heavy on the puck and have skill. Now, my third line. And I'm calling this my shutdown line because these guys are some of the best two-way players in the game. They're always contending for a Selke trophy. On left wing, you got to go with Patrick Sharp. He's having an unbelievable season. He's scoring at a point per game average. Taves, another lineman from Chicago, is going to be centering. Captain Sirius needs to be on Team Canada like he was in Vancouver. And then another center conversion is Patrice Bergeron. These guys are going to be able to shut down any line on the opposition, and Sharp and Taves got the inside scoop on Patrick Kane. Now my fourth line, this is not the traditional grinder line like you see in NHL teams and hockey teams across the board, but these guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with. On the left wing, another center converted to the wing is Matt Duchene. The guy can skate, one of the best skaters in the NHL, and you need that kind of skill when you're playing on the international ice surface. Centering the fourth line is Big Joe Thornton. One of the best playmakers in the game and has been his entire career. And then finally, rounding out the fourth line is Mighty Mouse Martin St. Louis, having another great season this year in the absence of Steven Stamkos. And he's a guy who you can probably move around on the power play, on the penalty kill, fit him into a lot of places. And speaking of guys who are utility players for their teams, my 13th forward is Claude Giroux. Now, he started the season 5 games, no points, but since then he's been scoring above a point per game pace. You can plug him into the power play, you can plug him in throughout the lineup, and he has the skill that you want and the skating ability on the big ice. And those are my forwards for Team Canada in Sochi.
And now, time to take a look at the defensive core. Not many differences in a lot of our defensive cores. They're actually all the same, so I'll talk about each briefly. The boys will go through theirs as a formality. But we'll start off with the top pairing. And once again, coming back to chemistry, and incidentally, these guys are 1-3 in defensive scoring in the NHL this season. We've got Duncan Keith, who has just been lights out this year, and as well, his line mate in Chicago, Brent Seabrook, both guys that were on the 2010 team. Moving to line number 2. This is my wild card line, I think, a little bit. And on your left-hand wing, you've got Drew Doughty, who was the best defenseman in 2010, and then you've got big bad Shea Weber with that shot on the back end. And then moving to our third pairing, other teammates. You've got Alex Pietrangelo from St. Louis on the third pairing with none other than Jay Bouwmeester. And just think about it for a second. If somebody was to tell you in August that Jay Bouwmeester would be making the Olympic team for Canada in Sochi, would you believe him? Me neither. And then heading to our final pick, and this one, a consensus, but an interesting consensus. Going to draw some ire from some Hab fans. We'll get you back a little bit later on in the video. It's PK Subban. I think just defensively the least responsible out of all these guys, but given his skill, given the fact he's defending Norris Trophy winner, you got to have him in there somewhere. I got a feeling he'll be seeing some playing time somewhere in the tournament.
Greenerback, now we're talking defenseman. Now, first line, chemistry. Leth brought it up earlier. Chemistry is one of the biggest things with this team, and especially on defense. When you're dealing with those Russians and the American team, you're going to have a hard time. Keith, Seabrook, how do you go wrong for your first defensive pairing? Second, which I think is going to be the shutdown, and in the last 9 seconds of any game, you're going to see these guys on the ice over anybody. That's Drew Doughty, Shea Weber. And finally, the St. Louis Blues, big tandem, the Twin Towers, Jay Bouwmeester and Pietrangelo. And the 7th defenseman, and he's going to be the power play specialist on this team, and that's PK Subban. Don't be surprised to see PK Subban and Shea Weber on the power play. And don't be surprised also to see Drew Doughty and Pietrangelo on the penalty kill, because these are big guys, and Subban and Weber can both fire the puck.
And now for the defense. The puck stops here with these guys. In my first pairing, it's the same as the other guys. I got to go with Duncan Keith, left pairing D with Brent Seabrook. These guys know the opposition like Jonathan Taves. They're going to know some of the players on USA, particularly Patrick Kane, know how to shut him down. He's going to have to be shut down if Canada's going to be successful in this tournament. Now, my second pairing, different from the buys. I got Bouwmeester, Jay Bouwmeester, and Alex Pietrangelo on the second D pairing. I got them there because, like Seabrook and Duncan Keith, they have instant chemistry, something you need in a tournament where there's minimal practice time for these guys. Now, rounding out my D pairing is what I like to call the Bash Brothers in Drew Doughty and Shea Weber. Not only do these guys not like to shave and have great beards, but they can lay the smack down on the opposition and also log some power play time and penalty kill. So great special teams players. Finally, the wild card, and this is the same as everybody else, I'm going PK Subban. Won the Norris Trophy last year. He started the season as the hottest defenseman in the NHL, and although he's tailed off a little bit, you're going to need his skating ability. I don't think there's a defenseman out there who skates as good and as heavy on the puck as PK Subban does. You're going to need that kind of ability on the open ice. And that's my D-core for Sochi.
And finally, we're going to take a look at the goaltenders. The backbone of any good hockey team. And of course, in 2010, we saw Roberto Luongo show up, steal the show from Marty Brodeur. Hasn't really recovered yet. So it's something similar going to be happening. I don't have Luongo starting in Sochi. Got none other than Carey Price. Yes, indeed, a Leafs fan. Picking Carey Price. Got to be done. Carey Price is just lights out. And the start of Carey Price, I think, at least 3 straight appearances for him as a starter for Team Canada at the Olympics. Backing him up, it is Roberto Luongo. I think just given his Olympic experience, his international experience playing for World Championship teams, he's got to have him there. And the third goaltender, I mean, there's a few different ways you could have gone with it. Even though he's injured right now, I took Corey Crawford. Corey Crawford from the Chicago Blackhawks, so that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Blackhawks to the new San Jose Sharks for the 2014 Winter Olympics. And that's your goaltenders. That's my lineup as well. And just one basic comment about my lineup, I think this is a nice combination of speed, size, skill, shooting ability. I think, it's a great two-way team. Lots of guys in the forward core who can get back, lots of guys in the defensive core who can jump up front. And then the goaltending, I think, Price and Luongo may be interchangeable. We're going to have to see what happens. I think Canada's got a great shot to win gold medal. Maybe not the favorites in the tournament, even as defending gold medalists, but we'll have to wait and see what happens coming up in February.
And on to Canadian goaltending. A guy that's played his way onto this team and one of the best 5-on-5 goaltenders right now, starting goalie for Team Canada, Carey Price. Backing him up, 2010 sensation for the team, Roberto Luongo. And the man that's going to be in the press box, but hopefully we'll see some ice time. Injured now, but he'll be on the team. And that's Corey Crawford. Right now, this is my team, and hopefully the team that will be at the 2014 Sochi Winter Games.
So, talked about the defense, the puck stops here. Well, this is the last line of defense. This is the netminders in Sochi. Like the rest of the guys, I have Carey Price, Montreal Canadiens, Carey Price starting in net. Behind him is Roberto Luongo. He stole, like Lepre said, stole the starting job from Martin Brodeur in Vancouver. And although he did get a vote of confidence from Martin Brodeur as recently as December 9th, where he came out and said the role should be Luongo's to lose, I just don't think he's playing as well as Carey Price is right now. So he'll be second. And then the one difference that the guys didn't have is my third netminder. That's Marc-Andre Fleury. And the sticky has gone off that note, so I'm just going to hold it here for you guys. I got Marc-Andre Fleury there because we know he always puts the wins up, but this year he's putting up some serious video game stats in goals against and save percentage. So I had to throw him on there. You can't look past that. And he's playing a bit better than Corey Crawford right now, in my own opinion. There you have it. Our lineups for Sochi, the Canadian Olympic team. Now we know there's a lot of people that you think might deserve a trip to Sochi, Russia, who are left off. Notably Jamie Benn. None of us included him. You could think Tyler Seguin or Taylor Hall might deserve a place up here, either in center or on the wing. If you want to comment, just let us know on Facebook or Twitter. Netcrashers on Facebook, @Netcrashers on Twitter. And stay tuned because Team Canada is announcing their lineup January 7th. So you want to see how closely our predictions match up to what Team Canada has in mind for Sochi. With that being said, on behalf of all the Netcrashers, I'm Jeremy Reynolds. This has been a pleasure, and hope to catch you on the next episode.